Over the years, activists have weaseled their way into the video game journalism space, and they have used that position to attack the very people they need reading their articles. And of course, they are now facing the consequences of their own actions because we have seen several outlets either completely go under, either lay off people, or simply have to pump out 100 articles a day to keep their positions. And now it looks like the gamer has been decimated by mass layoffs. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I say this all the time, I do not revel in the fact that people are losing their jobs, but when you suck so much at your job, you probably don't deserve to have it. And we are talking about activists who have weaseled their way into the video games industry because they couldn't make it at mainstream political sites like MSNBC, and they thought that they could come into this industry, evoke change, and everything was going to go their way and they were going to be viewed like gods. But that hasn't happened. Gamers have completely and utterly rejected the propaganda they're pushing, completely rejected the products that they touch, and rejected the slop articles that they're writing. And now we are seeing another outlet completely decimated by mass layoffs, and you're not going to see me shedding a tear for these people. Now, we have heard that over just the past 2 years, more than 1,200 games journalists have left the media, and I think that this was inevitable because so many people joined the gaming industry's media during the days of Gamergate 1. They thought that the industry was headed to, DEI initiative heaven. They thought that they were going to be, of course, able to have a point be heard, have their voices be heard, and this hasn't really worked out. When you simply write articles attacking gamers and always having the wrong opinion, meaning you shill for games that you're paid to, and you ignore good games, and you never are in agreement with gamers, and then you, of course, decide to put politics into half your articles, people aren't going to read anymore, and the global pool of game journalists have shrunk by 25%, which I think is funny, but now we are finding out that the gamer has suffered widespread layoffs, and it seems that 1,200 games journalist number is going up quite a bit. So this is a Geeks and Gamers article. It says the gaming industry is witnessing another major casualty, and this time it's one of its most politically charged outlets. The Gamer, the Valnet-owned site, long known for championing identity-focused articles and culture war commentary, has been gutted by a massive round of layoffs. According to Video Game Chronicle, which described these layoffs as having decimated the Gamer, the site's features team was completely eliminated along with multiple other departments. This is what happens when you pump out slop, when you are attacking gamers, when you are attacking good games, when you are shilling for major companies, even when they do not deserve your defense, you're going to lose readers, and that's why no one is going to run to your defense. This is why nobody is sitting here saying, poor the gamer, poor this staff, because as I always say, I can have general compassion for people, even if I completely disagree with your opinions, but if my YouTube channel was deleted tomorrow, these people wouldn't stand up to defend me, so why would I stand up to defend them at this point in time? It says Jade King, the Gamer's now formerly features editor, confirmed Valnet unfortunately let go of the entire The Gamer features team today. News editor Rhiannon Bevan described the move as heartbreaking. Valnet, the Canadian parent company behind Game Rant, CBR, and most recently Polygon, has become infamous for buying popular outlets, firing seasoned staff, and replacing them with lower paid freelancers, pumping out SEO-driven listicles, which we've seen happening in the video game industry in general. You will see a studio be purchased by a massive entity, all of the veterans and the people who actually made Series Amazing let go because they're too expensive, and then they will bring in tons of juniors. Look at what happened to the Assassin's Creed franchise. We had heard that, I believe the statistic was like 9 out of 10 developers were juniors. juniors. Most of the people that worked on Shadows and are still on the franchise now are new to this industry. They've never made a game before, and I think that there's always room for new faces and voices in a space. I think that it is amazing that some new people are being brought in, but I think that first of all, they should be working alongside seasoned developers, but also they should be hired based on merits. If coming out of school or coming out of another job, they have proven themselves, then yeah, they definitely should be hired. But if they are just checking off boxes on a checklist for a company's diversity quota, then yeah, they don't deserve that job, period. For years, the gamer seemed less interested in games and more interested in scolding gamers. From op-eds about toxic fans to takes that frame disagreements as moral failure, the site consistently talked down to its readership. One of the most notorious examples came out in July 2024 when the gamer published an article claiming that anyone using the Tesla Cybertruck skin in Fortnite deserves to be bullied. I think it's so funny that they say, ooh, bring bullying back, until they're the ones getting bullied. Then they say it's racism and sexism and bigotry and harassment. Like, pick your battles here, man. The piece mocked Fortnite players who like the Cybertruck cosmetic, and they called for targets to be ridiculed and bullied, and of course, readers have had enough. I also saw Smash JT put up a really good compilation of some of the terrible articles that, of course, they've put up over the years. None of these will come as a shock to a lot of you. The gaming industry is lagging behind sports in advocating for social change. Yeah, maybe the video game industry should be worried about, I don't know, video games instead of pushing for so much social change, because the video game industry makes $200 billion a year. They need to be worried about making money and continuing culture, not, sitting here saying we need to put more initiatives in place. People who identify as gamers more likely to be sexist and racist, report finds, which I think is so funny. They're willing to put up articles like this on a site called TheGamer. And I'm not saying avoid covering facts and information, but this was, from what I remember, a very small study, and they could have easily come out and said, we would definitely need more information to back this up, but instead they took it as complete fact and, of course, confirmation of their hatred for gamers. Games that got diversity right and 10 that didn't. Of course, they sit here and they trash like Ocarina of Time. They say Birdo is offensive, and they sit here and they say, oh my gosh, we need to do better, which isn't shocking because that's all they've really done over the years. And now that we're finding out that so many staff at TheGamer are now gone, gamers are ruthlessly mocking them, and of course, rightfully so. I had posted this thread talking about it, and there are people saying the sad reality is that even AI can write better slop than they could. They will not be missed. And of course, AI, you can set parameters for to be extremely woke and extremely progressive, but at the same time, I feel like it's still better to have AI doing that instead of a human, because these clankers are easily ignorable. They built their brand on bashing gamers. Now they're shocked the controller's unplugged. Poetic. I like that I've had to do literally nothing other than enjoy the passage of time to watch them crumble into ruin. It brings me joy. I loved Kotaku for a while. The Floyd era, they lost their editorial minds, and I never came back. Yeah, from 2014 to like 2020, they had been pretty bad because of Gamergate 1, but there were still individuals who were half decent. But after like 2020, and you had COVID, you had Floyd, all those different things, they, lost their minds. And of course, there are going to be good apples in the bunch that were cult here, which is sad because look at, I don't know, the journalists actually writing guides, people who are actually passionate about playing games and finding all those little details. There are a couple of those people who were laid off, I'm certain, and that is sad because these people are actually half decent. But at the same time, I can't sit here and say I feel bad for all of these people on this team when I really don't, just because a few decent people might have been let go. Now, I don't even know how many decent people TheGamer still had. Couldn't have been many. The world, or for that matter, no one will miss TheGamer. People laughing, saying, oh no, anyway, good riddance, just generally cheering on this decision. So I'm curious to see how many of these people are going to be melting down over the next few days. I'm certain that it's going to be quite a few, but Yep, we are seeing the death of another outlet, and I can't say I'm sad about it, but that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this important and informative, make sure to give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.